Welcome to the Big Fat Real Estate Checks podcast with Marco Kozlowski, where we help investors like you get the knowledge and skills you need to replace your JOB with passive cash flow for life.
All right.
Hey guys, welcome to another podcast with yours truly, Marco Kozlowski, Gabriel Araish, and Frank Galuccio. This is, of course, Big Fat Real Estate Checks, a podcast where we help you find ways of buying property creatively in order for you to never have to work again and having other people's money work for you instead of you working for it. And we're going to be discussing today a case study, actually a deal that all three of us are working on. This is an unusual podcast in that we normally give concepts, but today we're going to discuss an actual live in-process deal. It's a small deal, and we're going to get into how we found it, the numbers, and our exit strategy. And I think it might be a very interesting thing for you to listen to and where we are in the process and what's coming next. And as the journey unfolds, we will share with you exactly what has been done, what hasn't been done, what needs to be done, so on and so forth, until we get cash flow for life on one asset that we will use absolutely zero of our own money on. So you can actually see a live deal in progress starting today. So who wants to go first?
I can start. It's Frank here. Thanks, Marco. Okay, well, let's start from the beginning. Good point. Where did we find the property? So this particular property, it's a modest-sized hotel. It's operating as a hotel. There was a listing a while ago. Again, this didn't just happen overnight. There was a listing a while ago. We touched bases with the agent. We have a relationship with the agent. We talked about that in previous podcasts where you want to build your golden retrievers, your agents that do come to you. So we did go back and forth. The numbers that the seller was asking was a little bit out to lunch, and we figured that. Obviously, we can't blame the seller. They're going to try to get as much as they can for it. And, we're on the other side of the coin where we're trying to get as little as possible we can for it. So we were going back and forth. The numbers didn't jive. We were following the process. Remember, following the process. And we're okay to leave the store. We mentioned that in the previous. We left the store. We reached back out to him not too long ago, about 2 weeks ago. And we followed up and said, hey, you know what? Has it sold? And he came back and he was like, actually, you know what? The seller had a lot of tire kickers and low ballers. He's not interested in selling because the property is cash flowing at this time. So right now, we not that we got excited, but we're not right now. So you understand, there's no eyes on this property no more. So there's no eyes on it. And we're in communication with this realtor that had the listing. So we said, well, you know what, what's it, we're not tire kickers. So we, again, explained our situation, what we are, our business model and all that. We're not tire kickers. What is it going to take to get it to the closing table? And then basically we started the dialogue from there. And we ended up, nailing the price down for it. And again, through the process, it didn't happen in that one conversation. We went back and forth over a couple of weeks after that. And we just tied the knot this past week. Actually, not this past week. I think it was 2 days ago. So that's how we ended up getting it, and the importance of the follow-up, and just on the follow-up, there you go. That's proof in the pudding. It's the fortune's in the follow-up, because otherwise, if we didn't follow up, it was not listed anyways. We weren't going to get it, and now we have an opportunity to make this property into a really great thing.
That's right. I do have forgive me, Gabriel, to interrupt here. I want to point some things out. So number one, it's in Florida, and it's in Florida is a fairly hot market. There's a huge migration from the north to the south with COVID. So there's the cap rates are being compressed, meaning that the values are going up. So on the value of this asset to the discount that we received, what is approximately the percentage of discount that we received on this purchase?
Gabe, do you have those numbers?
Almost 40%, I'd say.
So there's a significant discount, number one. And so off market, number one, fortune in the follow-up. We're going back and forth. We're being very persistent and consistent in communicating with the agent. The agent has a belief that we can close, which we do. We have the ability to close since we are backed by private equity funds. And the relationship was built with the human, being I say human because we're not buying real estate all the time. We're actually communicating with humans that control real estate. And many people think that you're really in the real estate business, but you're really in the communications business that allows you to get real estate at deep discounts. And the reason why we were able to do this, and I can't take any of the credit for the negotiation. Frank and Gabe did all of it. And they understood the process, drove the price down, said, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. I believe you threw a really low offer out too that was completely rejected, which is the point. And we've discussed this in the past where you don't make offers to get accepted, you make offers to get rejected. The day that you make an offer that's accepted, you pay too much. So you started off very low. They said no, back and forth communication, and you landed at below 30%, which is the point I was trying to make.
Right.
It's below 30% of what the market is in that area. But most importantly, is there an upside? Is there an opportunity to not only buy this at a discount, but to increase rents, increase revenues, decrease expenses, and turn this into an absolute cash cow?
Absolutely. We did a reverse engineer. Maybe Gabe, you want to talk on that? We did we did a similar project to this. I did up in Ocala area. So it's a cookie cutter. So we were looking at, okay, if we get it for that discount, what is the upside? What does the end picture look like? So maybe Gabe, do you want to discuss,
well, sure.
how we reversed engineer since you're the numbers guy?
Sure. Well, we started off by evaluating what this type of property with a unit mix could go for on the market, or what it currently goes for on the market. So if we wanted to rent a unit that's similar to that in the current market, once it's I don't want to say rehab because it needs some love. That's all it needs. So it's some TLC. So once the TLC is done, how much can we get for each of these units? And we basically figured out that we could get about anywhere between $100 to $150 a unit more. And now the second question is, well, what's it going to cost us to go get that $100, $150 more? And we nailed it down. Yes, Marco?
Per week.
Oh, yes. Per week. So, sorry.
Because that makes a big difference.
It does. That's right. This is, we're looking at this weekly for now because it's run as a hotel. So there's weekly rentals. And so this is actually another part of the equation that we can address a little bit later because there's so much upside here. It's extremely exciting. So $100 to $150 a week.
Yes. Forgive me again for stepping in, but $100 to $150 a week is $400 a month. And I don't want to be pandering, but $400 a month times, if this was a 100-room hotel, which is not, if you do 400 times 100, that's $4 million a month. That's too many zeros for me to count, but it really adds up very quickly. And that upside, that extra $100 adds up to a lot because it's mostly net. You've already paid your expenses on everything else, and everything that you're charging extra goes straight into your pocket. So this is all profit. So $400 times the number. We don't want to give away the deal we'll
just do it on one unit.
Rooms.
Let's do it on one unit. So let's just say we get 100 on the lower side, and forgive me, Marco, for interrupting, but I'm gonna structure this for the listener. So $100 in increase a week is $5,200 a year. Our conservative estimate to rehab this unit or to bring it up to snuff so we can go get that $100 is about $4,000. If you add some of the work on the outside, it might be add another $1,000, even $1,500 is $1,500. So if we invested $5,500 in one unit to go get $5,200 by the end of that, that's pretty much 100% return on our money. So we would get the money back in more or less a year. Call it even 18 months to be extremely conservative. So I don't know if that sounds like a good deal.
Well, even better is that, if this was a 10 cap market, which it's not, meaning that if you increase the value of the property by $5,000 per year, $5,000 at a 10% return is $50,000 valuation add per unit.
Correct.
So it adds up quick. So if you have 10 units, you're looking at a $500,000 increase in value on just 10 units. Maybe even 400,000 because you're going to have some cost. You're not going to keep 100%. You might have extra management fees or some small things. But in the hotel, it doesn't run that way. There's no percentage on management. It's a flat management fee. So no matter how much revenue the property makes, you're still making more. So you are keeping most of it. So it's extremely exciting. So if you at 20 rooms, that's $1 million. At 30 rooms, it's 1.5. At 40 rooms, it's $2 million. That's an extra $2 million on a very small investment going in. So it's very, very exciting. Frank?
So I know I just wanted to tee it up the way the current owner, and I think this is the way they were operating. So it is a hotel. It's actually zoned as a hotel, but they're treating it as a residential, long-term, extended stay, if you want to call it that. So they have guests that are on premises, 100% full, because again, it's in a demand area, very high traffic road there, very visible. So they have these guests that are there that have been there for months and years. So they're treating it as if it's a long-term residential. So I just wanted to point that out right now, because as Gabe goes down the rabbit hole on how we reverse engineer it, you'll see why we mentioned
so
that.
basically, these are guests that came one day and just never left. They kind of sound like some of our
Pretty much.
They kind of sound like some of my friends.
Exactly. They come and they don't leave.
Right.
Hotel California, but it's not Hotel California.
But all in all, there's so many ways of I guess, I don't want to say skinning this cat, because we may have some animal lovers, but of treating this deal. The main thing was the revenue on the cash flow, because to us, we've said this multiple times on the podcast. We like to get in quickly at a discount, fix a place up, get the upside, and then, refi, get the original money out, and then just keep moving forward, collecting cash flow. So for that to work, the revenues have to make sense. So there is upside. We've determined that on the rent. There's something else that could be interesting here. So in the hotel landscape in Florida, there's different taxes that apply to that industry or to that asset class. So there's a 6%, and correct me if I'm wrong there, Frank, but there's a 6% tourist tax, and then there's a 6.5% sales tax that needs to be applied that needs to be paid back by the owner to the county and the city, or the state. So and that's only because it's zoned as a hotel. So if we were able to potentially convert this to a multifamily residential zoning, then that's 6.5%. That's 6%. No need to be paid anymore. So that's 12.5%.
Actually, it's 12%. Yeah, it's 12%. So you got your tourist tax. Yes,
6.5 is 12.5. Yes, sir, Marco.
And what the owner isn't doing right now is actually not charging the guest that 12%, 12.5%, which he should be. So even if we're not able to get the rezoning done, which is possible, just charging the tax to the guest, which should be happening, technically. If I walk into a hotel, the hotel's not charging me tax, saying we'll take care of it. It doesn't work that way. So that should actually be passed down to the guest. And might you piss off one or two guests? Maybe. But it's a very high demand area, and how the rents are depressed right now, again, by a significant amount. Yes. It's $400 a month minimum, up to $500 to $600 a month. If it's at $150, that's $600. So even if we go in the middle ground at $500 extra per month for the guest, it's still the lowest rents in the area. It's a very high demand area, very, very high traffic. So might it take us a couple months or a couple weeks or even a couple 3 weeks to find a replacement guest? Sure. But if they're used to paying the tax, they're going to pay it, which will immediately decrease our expenses by 12.5%, which again is all money. Well, that 12.5% on a $100,000. If it's an extra $100,000 in revenue, which I think is more than that, much more than that. What am I talking about? It's way more than that.
Yes,
it's way more than that. I correcting myself right now. That's an extra $1 million in valuation at a 10% market. And Florida is not a 10% market cap, meaning that if you paid $1 million, you get a 10% return. That's $100,000, just in case you don't understand market caps. So just that alone is going to raise the value of the property over $1 million. That one small thing. That's not including raising rents. That's not including anything else. All the other things and bells and whistles we're going to do. It's just money after money after money after money that's going to be added onto this project. And again, the objective is to get it to an optimized number, a stable, get stabilized, and then refinance. And the goal is to pull out as close to six figures as possible on the refinance within an 18-month period of time.
That's correct. And just to add to the fact of, tenants leaving in such a situation when there's such a big discrepancy between current rent and potential rent, if we do this minimal work that I discussed a little bit earlier, is that either way, you're going to be targeting a different class of tenants anyways. So having them leave is just going to make it simpler for you to come in there and do the work. So the real, I guess it's not even an issue, but what's going to take time is the fact that because it's a high demand area, these units are fully occupied all the time. So you need someone to leave in order to be able to start doing the work and then fill that up with somebody new. So it's like I said, it's going to be a very interesting project. It's looking very promising. It's going to be super exciting, and I'm looking forward to, I guess, having another podcast where we can talk about the after, since we're in the before phase.
Yeah, and listen, sorry, Marco. I just wanted to add on that point. You can keep it as is and still make money. It's still cash flowing, and that's what I think the current seller and the previous seller has been doing. They're leaving at a status quo because they're just like, shit, it's spitting out money. I'm okay with it. And having that end game in your head, which is the refi, rebranding it, improving the units, because you can't just increase the units $100 or $150 a week without doing anything to the units. You got to give value back to that guest or that tenant, and that's exactly what we plan to do. Like just rebranding, new sign, curb appeal, everything, the whole premises. We're going to change over. So from a street perspective, it looks like a nice and clean place to live, and you're going to attract, like Gabe said, perhaps the different demographics in there, or it's, these people that are working there, they're blue collar workers. They may say, shit, this is awesome. I'll pay the extra $100 gladly. Right. It's their home.
For sure. Yeah. And if the nicer it is, we take it from the C- that it is to even a B-, it's going to be a huge improvement, and the values will reflect that. Even if we were to just remove the sales tax and pass that on to the tenants, we're increasing the value of the property over $1 million.
Correct.
Just doing that one small thing without doing anything to the property.
And just to be clear, because you mentioned the class, it's treated, or it's run as a C- property, but it's in a B+ area. So that's what gives us all that upside. A- even, yeah. That's it's
an A- area. Yeah, it's an A- area and it run as a C, so it's a huge
upside.
And if you're not familiar with ABCs, just go back to kindergarten and I think you'll figure that out. But seriously, the ABC, A is the best possible location, B is white collar, C is blue collar, and D is got to pack your 9 to get there. So
war zone.
It's you need an AR of some kind to survive the evening.
You need to hire Frank to collect rents.
Yeah, well, no, I got a guy for that. That's I got a guy for that. I don't do that.
Yes. From Calabria.
Yes, from Calabria. But the whole point is, guys, again, this is in the preliminary stages, and maybe we'll do future podcasts on updates on what we do, exactly how we do, so you have a good idea what optimization means. How to think outside of the box. How do you maximize the revenues? And we have a lot of ideas for this because we have a lot of experience, and how to decrease expenses, which is just as good as increasing revenues. So. It works both ways.
Penny saved is a penny earned, right? Penny saved is a penny earned. So,
yep.
And just there's so many little things that add up to big things. So even if you can, what would you say? At least 30% increase in revenues, 30, 40%?
Oh, 100%. We're 1/3 as it is right now. Right. We already know 1/3 is being on the low side.
Right.
So yeah, definitely.
So 30%. So if you're buying it at 40% off plus a 30% increase, you're doubling the value of the property.
That's crazy.
So it's bananas, and we're talking in the millions of dollars range. So just to sum up, off-market property, made an offer that was completely rejected, followed up, build relationship. We are in the relationships business. You're not in the real estate business. Frank and Gabe have the skills to keep the engine warm. Hey, we have some capital. We want to place it. We're serious about buying. At this number, it's not going to work. We love you, agent. These numbers suck. What can we do to improve them? Back and forth, gave us some inside information that we used to help the seller, because the seller did want to sell, but just wanted to be presented in a certain way, which you guys did marvelously, magically, and perfectly. So I'm very proud of you both. We got into the property exactly at the number that we needed to, at a significant discount in a very hot market like Florida, And again, extreme discount. We're talking over 30% with a huge upside in a very good area with a lot of potential. There'll be no money in. We're going to be able to borrow the money in order to fix up the place. So there's going to be no money out of your pocket whatsoever. We're going to optimize it. No money out of pocket. We're going to raise revenues. No money out of pocket. Decrease expenses. No money out of pocket just means more money in pocket. Double the value of the asset and then refinance it. So if we were to buy this for $5 million and it's a $10 million, and it turns into $10 million, sorry, it's worth $5 million and we buy it for $3 million, right? That's 30% off.
Yep.
Just round numbers. It's worth 5. We get it down to 3, and now we make it worth 10 and refinance it at 70% of its value at $10 million. That's $7 million. We owe 3 because we bought it for 3. That's a $4 million pullout. We're basically doubling we're making more than what the mortgage is. So there's a huge opportunity to suck out money at those numbers that I just explained. So
well, you got to factor in the repairs, though.
Yeah. So we have $1 million in repairs.
Exactly.
We're still pulling out. Shit, if you're pulling out 7 figures, who cares?
Exactly. I just wanted to make, just in case someone's following and they're like, wait a sec, what happens to the repairs? But you're still pulling out
and it doesn't, and just for the listener, it doesn't have to be such a big deal. Like if you're going into a deal that's similar, I mean, even if you take out zeros, the important part is your return. Any investment you make, if you can get a 20, 30, 40% return on your money, that's like crack. Like there's no such thing on the markets. I mean, you see people on the stock market now that are going bananas because they're making 20, 25% in one of the craziest markets ever. That's not typical. Whereas in real estate, we can find these deals and create these deals, I should say, pretty much all the time. It's just a question of following process, and the results will come. I mean, and maybe we should also address this where we're not more special than anybody else. We're just following our own examples and what we preach. We've been marketing for a while now. This is just one of the popcorn kernels that popped and that tastes good and we got it tied up. That's it. But for this one property that we were able to get into under contract, there's still a bunch of other leads that never panned out. So we're not doing anything different. We're just doing it.
As a side note, how much do you spend on marketing, boys?
Zero. Absolutely. Big donut.
If any of you follow my program or wish to follow my program, that's forbidden to spend any money on marketing, forbidden to spend money on buying a property, forbidden to do anything. It's skills. You either need money to buy real estate or you need skill sets to do real estate. You don't need one. You need one or the other. Or if you have both, it doesn't matter because you never need to use your own money. So if you do it right, you're going to do it right and make an infinite return since you're not using your money ever. Well, I think this was a pretty good synopsis of what's cooking, and appreciate you both. And I hope that you as a listener really have enjoyed this and are inspired to want to make 7-figure paydays by learning skills, the important skills that are necessary to find the right relationships that allow you to get the right deals, that allow you to use none of your own money because you have the right relationships to use asset-based lenders, the skill sets to be able to put those deals together, the skill sets to be able to put the package together so you get the money for the rehab. You have the skill sets to find the right management team because we're not going to manage this shit. There's zero chance of that. Maybe Frank would because he likes to get his hands dirty, but other than, I'm just joking. It's completely hands off and just having the right. You can't win the Super Bowl with the wrong team players. You can't win the Stanley Cup without the right players on the ice, right? So you have to have the right players on the team. Your job is to own the team, not play on the ice or in the field or in the rink or in whatever sport I'm trying to analyze here that you hopefully understand. So with that, get the skill sets, learn. The more you learn, the more you earn. If you have interest in learning this stuff, Marco@MarcoKozlowski.com, shoot me an email or go to bigfatchecks.com, and you can watch a webinar on how this all works. So guys, thanks so much for your time. And I look forward to the next podcast and hearing more of the story on how amazing this deal went. Thanks so much, guys. Take care and have a fantastic life.
If you like this episode of Big Fat Real Estate Checks, then show some love by leaving a comment and a good rating. Also, as a thank you for tuning in today, we've got a special free gift. The journey to passive cash flow for life starts by finding deals, and it's easier than you think. Simply go to getdealsbytuesday.com, enter your email address, and we'll send you a free quick start course called Deals by Tuesday. Even if it's 11 p.m. Monday night, this course will show you how to find discounted real estate deals by Tuesday. It's that fast and simple. Go to getdealsbytuesday.com and start your journey toward life-changing cash flow today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.